going to profile one of the radical revolutionaries behind the effort to indoctrinate our children in our schools, a woman named Abrar Omesh. She's a former Bernie Sanders surrogate and currently sits on the school board of Fairfax County, Virginia. It's unreal. Now, earlier this month, she gave a deeply disturbing keynote address at a local high school graduation.
We struggle with human greed, racism, extreme versions of individualism and capitalism, white supremacy, growing wealth gaps, disease, climate crisis, extreme poverty amidst luxury and waste right next door. Do you understand that social justice is only political for those who can afford to ignore it? You understand that neutral is another word for complicit, and you have made a choice to take a stand.
How inspiring as a graduation speaker. Not only did she use her speech to push critical race theory, she also called for a jihad against the concepts of objectivity and neutrality. Joining me now is Dr. Carol Swain, former political science professor at Stanford and Vanderbilt universities, author of the book Debating Immigration. Dr. Swain, this isn't just some activist. She sits on the school board of Fairfax County, one of the wealthiest school districts in the United States. Your reaction?
Well, first of all, the name of the school is the Justice High School, and they did a pledge allegiance that they pledged to Allah. And what disturbs me is that these were mostly immigrants, and that was an anti-American speech, and it is something that should not be taking place in our country. It robbed the students of an inspirational graduation speech, but it also painted America as a country, you know, that was hostile to these immigrants. And it is teaching our young people to hate this nation. And when we have immigrants, and these students were immigrants, their parents and the immigrants that I know love America, and they've been among the most outspoken about critical race theory and what is happening to this country, because many of them fled nations where there was communism, socialism. They don't want to see it happen to America. And so she had these young people, a captive audience that she's indoctrinating with information that cannot serve them well, nor does it serve our nation well.
Well, I think this is a different type of immigrant, though, and Northern Virginia has changed a lot. It's a very diverse place, a lot of great people, but it's a very different place than it was just even 10 years ago. And to your point, Abrar Omesh made sure to mention this other point. People need to hear it for themselves in this commencement speech. Watch.
Let us acknowledge the stolen land of the Manahoic people, on which we have learned, lived, and on which we celebrate today here in Fairfax. This theft is a reminder to us of what happens when we delay justice, when we don't speak up, when we don't stand up in time.
Dr. Swain, she's reinforcing the narrative that America is just a country founded on racism and theft. Yet, of course, I'd say the majority of the people in that audience willingly came to America, I guess only to be taught to hate America. How should any of our tax dollars be going to schools like this? Any of them?
Our tax dollars should not be going to schools like that. And it's very troubling to me when you have racial and ethnic minorities. Why was she picked to be the graduation speaker? Was it because she was a minority? She's obviously hostile towards America. And it takes me back, you know, to Theodore Roosevelt, 1907. He talked about America being open to immigrants, but those who came to America in good faith and wanted to assimilate and wanted to become a part of what we are, what we have to offer. Obviously, we're bringing people into this country that hate this country. They're looking for opportunities to undermine it from within. That is unacceptable. Our tax dollars should not be supporting it. And we need to hold racial and ethnic minorities like me to the same standard that we hold whites to. We need to hold everyone to the same standard.
I think every single one of these Fairfax County school board members who agree with her, who stand with her points of view, they all need to be defeated. Every single last one of them needs to be thrown out on their backsides, on their tuchuses, whatever you want to call it. They got to be out, okay? Parents got to stand up, run for these school board races. And by the way, the Virginia governor's race, Carol's in full swing. critical race theory a big issue in the Commonwealth. Here's how a Democrat candidate, though, of course, Terry McAuliffe, how he's responding.
All the Republicans are talking about like critical race theory, and they're making this huge deal about it. What are you going to say to all those people making education about that?
That's another right-wing conspiracy.
Okay.
This is totally made up by Donald Trump and Glenn Youngkin. This is who they are. It's a conspiracy theory.
McAuliffe's in trouble, I think. The polling indicates that he's not ahead by a lot. But Dr. Swain, we don't even have time for a response from you. Isn't that awful? But I think I know what you have to say on that. We'll have you back. All right, up next, a special...